Good afternoon. How's everyone doing? Great, great. I think our council is still in session, I believe. It's an exciting time in Prince George's County. In case you were not part of it this morning, the president was here. So we're very excited about that, or we're very excited. I'm not calling my home. I'm getting the speech up. I think we are almost ready here. Let me do while I'm doing this. Let me introduce who's here with me. Tom Himmler, Deputy CAO, will be here to answer questions, and Terry Charles is here, our Acting Director of OMB. As many of you know, this is the 15th of March. As some of you might not know, I was a history major in college, and my minor was classics. And so you may know this is the Ides of March. And so as I was thinking about this day, I remembered that Caesar went to present to the Roman Senate. And as I was thinking about that and the fact that he did not walk away from the Roman Senate, I was very much hoping that he was not presenting his budget that day when he was before them. So I'm hoping that I don't suffer the similar fate with the council when I present this budget. While they are absent, I just want to make sure that we acknowledge the council and their work in helping us put together this budget that we're proposing to them. When my staff and I were working on the budget, there was a quote that I think captures what we went through. And it was by Robert Kennedy, and he got it from an adaptation from George Bernard Shaw. And he said, some men see things the way they are and say, why? I dream things that never were and say, why not? When we looked at this budget, we asked ourselves, why not? We knew that during the FY 2013 budget process that we would have to look at our government through a different prism. Three words dominated our discussion: vision, focus, and results. These words guided our thinking and enabled us to create a framework for our budget. Exactly 1 year ago today, I presented a budget that stressed how important it was for Prince George's County to grow our commercial tax base if we were to move this county forward. And if you think about where we are today, we have a $50 million Economic Development Incentive Fund that we launched last month. We signed an MOU with the University of Maryland and the state to build a new regional healthcare facility. We put in plans and are slated to have the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development move to New Carrollton. We have the Cantera development anchoring the north and the Tanger outlet malls that are anchoring the south, which will be great additions to our retail and commercial mixed use. And we are aggressively going after the FBI and other federal lease opportunities. Projects like these will help bring more jobs and economic activities to our county and move us closer to diversifying our revenue streams. Going into this year's budget, we knew we would have to ask each and every one of you in the county government to do more with less. It is the reason that I asked my leadership team to look closely at how we're allocating our resources to operate your government. We worked with our agencies and developed a mission and vision for county government that serves as a foundation of our budget and the activities that support it. Our vision and mission help create a budget with a common theme of making the county better for residents, businesses, and visitors. The vision statement that will be the focus of the Baker administration is this: Prince George's County is a nationally recognized jurisdiction that will be a leader in the Washington metropolitan region because of our thriving economy, great schools, safe neighborhoods, and high-quality health care. We will govern with policies and practices that are innovative, results-oriented, sustainable, and residents and businesses will know that this is one of the best places to live, invest, work, and visit. Our mission that will guide us each day is to transform the quality of life for our residents, visitors, and businesses by providing excellent services that achieve high levels of customer satisfaction through integrity, accountability, and convenience. In order to meet this vision and this mission, we developed 7 priority areas that will help us move forward. These priority areas are the core of the 2013 budget, and we have allocated resources toward those 7 priority areas. I am confident that if we channel our resources towards a thriving economy, an excellent education system, safe neighborhoods, quality health care, effective human services and assistance to those in need, a clean and sustainable environment, and high-performing government, that we will move this county forward. Developing this budget was a challenging process. I'm sure Terry can tell you that. We went around this county and talked to many people about what our priorities should be and how to develop it. But the fact that it was challenging also created opportunities for us to rethink how we do business. It's, you know, if I can just pause just for a second, I mean, something that a CAO, acting CEO Brad Seaman said earlier when asked a question by some of our union friends about cuts, and he said, we didn't think of it in terms of cuts. We thought of it in terms of priorities. That's why these 7 priorities are important. It's how we allocated the limited resources that we have. But in order to do that, in order to think differently, we had to break down silos and start communicating in our agencies differently than we have in the past. By doing this, it enabled us to identify new ways to approach problems. This can only happen when we dream things that never were and ask why not. I want to thank Acting CAO Brad Seaman, if he can stand, for the work that he did in helping us shape this. I also want to thank our deputy CAOs, Barry Stanton, if he's here, Barry. Carla Reed. Stand. Betty Francis, she's here. Tom Himmler, thank you. And my Chief of Staff, Glenda Wilson, if she's here. You know, the man hours that they put in and women hours that they put in helped shape this budget, and it was not an easy task. I also want to thank all the department heads who were here for their hard work. If you can stand up so we can recognize you. I see Gail Francis in the back. If everybody could stand up. As I said earlier, this budget is the result of months of hard work, and I'm very proud of the creativity and innovation that came from our staff during this process. And I know for I speak for Terry and myself, that we would not have been able to get through it, the whole process, without the hard work of her staff at the Office of Budget and Management. If we can just have them stand up, wave your hands. Those who sat through my questions. I know many of them were looking for new jobs after dealing with the county executive. They said, this guy's a nut. Because we tried our best to squeeze every dime out of everything that we had. Here are some of the highlights of the budget, and we're going to go into greater detail as we go on. Some of the highlights are we've expanded our growth in our local economy through investments, continued investments in our Economic Development Incentive Fund. We've enhanced our efforts to make our neighborhoods safer by adding new police officers and new fire and EMS recruits. We significantly increased the staffing levels at the state's attorney's office. We continued our progress toward a new health care system. We exceeded the maintenance of effort levels in our education. We maintain a prudent and sound fiscal management practices, including the maintenance of sufficient revenue balance. What that means is we kept our reserves so we can keep our AAA bond rating, which was very important. And we provided one-time bonuses for county employees. We did all of these things while balancing our budget without furloughs or layoffs, which I told our staff I would not entertain. And I knew that would be a difficult task for us to do, but we've done it. As I stated earlier, we focus in investing in areas we believe will benefit the county in the long run. That is why this year's proposed operating budget is $3.2 billion for fiscal year 2013, which is an increase of about 0.9% over last year's budget. The general fund is the vast majority of our budget and will essentially remain flat as it was last year, so it's about $2.66 billion. We will continue to face revenue challenges. As everyone probably knows, we face a stagnant economy, a depressed housing market, and the real fiscal uncertainties at the federal and the state level. That has meant that we have less revenues to work with as we shape our budget. If you look at the past 3 years in the county, we've experienced significant decreases in our real property values as the state has done reassessment. Our real property values have decreased 18%, 29%, and 25%, as you'll see on this board. Over the past 5 years, that has meant that the median sales price has decreased from $333,000 to $162,000. That's almost a 50% decrease. Anybody want to be county executive? No. As the next revenue chart shows, we will operate the government in fiscal year 2013 with the same level of funding as we did 4 years ago. As such, our budget process was difficult. As I said, we were faced with many tough decisions. Whether we cut back in our critical areas that we think will move the county forward, or whether we look at ways of increasing our revenues. We did not, and I did not, take this decision lightly. But I thought it best, and we thought it best as a government, that we preserve our critical investments. That is why this budget contains a proposed increase in recordation tax of 50 cents per $500 in transaction. This increase will generate about $5 million in fiscal year 2013 and help us close the gap. As shown on the table, right there, at the table, the cost will be minimal. Our reduction in revenues was one of the drivers that made us look at the budget differently and develop a clear vision and mission for our county government. I knew that if we had a clear vision, it would be easier to get our agencies to adopt a shared priorities. and I'm happy to report that despite revenue challenges, we were able to make investments in 7 priority areas that I mentioned earlier. I am confident that our investment in these areas will address the needs of our residents and businesses. I'd like to walk you through the focus priority areas for fiscal year 2013 in the budget. Our vision for the county is heavily dependent upon our ability to expand our economic development base. A growing tax base will enable us to provide the necessary resources to achieve our priorities. That is why the budget for fiscal year 13 focuses on these areas in economic development. We will provide an additional $11 million to the Economic Development Incentive Fund for loans and grants that will help create jobs and expand our commercial tax base. We will provide funding of $5 million to our economic development agencies, the Economic Development Corporation, the Financial Services Corporation, and the Conference and Visitors Bureau. By funding these agencies, we will expand our businesses, help market the county better, and provide financial assistance to local businesses. We are providing $2 million to start the redevelopment efforts at the Glenarden apartment complex. I'm sure if Councilwoman Harrison was here, Council Chair Harrison was here, she'd be happy to hear that. And last but not least, we are investing $32 million in transportation infrastructure. That is coming from the county level. As you know, we are still asking for money at the state level. Our next priority is to ensure that our residents have access to excellent education in the county. Improving our education system is a critical step for this county, and we must continue to invest in education, and also improve our outcomes in education. That is why this budget, working with Dr. Height and the board, we are investing $1.6 billion in K-12 education operating funds, including $614 million in county funds. This is $21 million above the maintenance of effort requirements. We are also investing $134 million in capital funds, including the construction of a new state-of-the-art Oxon Hill High School that will replace the old facility. And I'm sure Councilmember Patterson will be happy about that. We will also invest $102 million in our community college for its operating funds and $7 million for its capital funds. As we saw from today, the president was at the community college. The President Dukes is doing a great job over there, and this further helps her continue to educate our children and provide job opportunities. So it's a great investment for us. We will invest $26 million in our library's operating funds and $11 million in capital funds, including the opening of the new South Bowie Library, September of 2012. I know that will make council members Turner and Davis happy, but it also shows our commitment to education, because many of our folks are using the libraries, and they're also using the libraries to look for jobs. So we are committed to making sure that happens. Safe neighborhoods are a key aspect to great communities. Everyone knows that. We have made great strides in public safety, but there's more that we can do, and there's more that we will do. And the focus of this year's budget will reflect that this is one of our priorities. We're providing $259 million to the police department, including 150 new officers. Now, there was a running joke that I did this so I could have people to run with in the morning. That is not true. I do look forward to running with the cadets. But let me just take this opportunity to have the police chief and his command staff stand up for a really great job. once again today when I ran into the governor, he quoted back the crime stats for Prince George's County, and I told him, shut up, shh, because they're so good. I said, I don't want to bring any bad luck. But it wasn't luck. It was the hard work of Chief McGall, Assistant Chief Davis, and the command staff of figuring out ways when, if you remember a year ago when I stepped up to this podium, didn't look so good. And look at where we are now in that hard work. So great job to you and the men and women who protect us each day. Thank you very much. We're going to provide $131 million to our fire department, including 50 new recruits and $3 million in new funding to our volunteer firefighters. And at this time, if I can have Chief Bayshore and your members stand up, please, and your man's. The chief has done a terrific job. I don't know anybody who's worked harder and who's. I want you to know you're safe. We've got public safety in the house. We are providing $23 million to our Office of Homeland Security, including funding for additional 911 center staffing and $9 million for the Emergency Command Center. And I want to thank Director Moe and his team. If you could stand up and give you a round of applause. We put a lot of pressure on them. They had a lot of practice because we managed to have 4 earthquake, 100-year flood. If we can do anything else to do that, we'll let you know. We're also investing $14 million in our state's attorney's office, including an additional 16 new county-funded positions for the state's attorneys. As I've said throughout the budget process, we need more staffing over in the state's attorney's office, and we need to provide more funding so she can compete with surrounding jurisdictions to keep good, competent attorneys over there. She's doing a terrific job, and we're going to do everything we can to support her. We will be investing $68 million in our Department of Correction, which will include 20 new recruits. Director McDonough, if you're here, you can stand up. Not. We want to thank Mary Lou. Where are you? You back there? No. I want to thank her for the work that she's doing over in corrections. They've done a terrific job. And last but not least, we're investing $33 million in our sheriff's office, including the enhancement of the domestic violence and warrants unit. Sheriff High has been a tremendous partner to me and to this administration, and I said it at the last budget hearing, and I will say it throughout this administration. When we were in tough times at the very beginning, he came over, sat down with us every Monday, egos aside, and got together with us to put together a strategy on how we deal with crime in the county. And because of his hard work, we see our numbers going down. He has done a great job in reducing the backlogs of warrants over there, and he's done all of this, quite honestly, with a limited staff and in competition with other surrounding jurisdictions that are paying more. We are doing what we can in this budget, but I wish there was more we could do. A real friend, and I'm sure I speak for the Chief McGall, and the rest, and Barry Stanton, when we say thank you for your partnership. And if you can stand, we can give you a round of applause. Thank you. A healthy population that has access to quality health care is important to our county. As I said throughout the campaign and said throughout this administration, that our priority areas, it's interesting, have changed over the years. It's education, public safety, and health care. And making sure our county is healthy and that our folks have access to quality health care is going to be important because it has an impact on everything else. This budget focuses health care as a priority. That is why we are providing $21 million to our health department, which will include funds to implement the electronic health record system to improve quality health care and automate our food inspection services. I want to thank Acting Director Pam Creekmer for her work over at the Health Department. We will invest $15 million in operating funds and $10 million in capital funds to Dimensions Healthcare System as part of our transformation of the system through the MOU between the state, the county, and the University of Maryland Medical System and other partners. We are partnering with federally qualified healthcare centers to increase the number of workers to assist our residents. What that means is we will be able to help more of our residents apply for coverage through Medicaid and therefore getting insurance. So we're providing funds for those. Helping those families in the county that need assistance is very important to me and to this administration. And we have focused on the needs in this budget by providing $6 million to our Department of Family Services and Social Services, including funds to protect seniors in nursing homes and assist youth services bureaus. I want to thank publicly Directors Gloria Brown, and Teresa Grant, respectively, for their efforts in these departments. Tremendous job that they're doing with limited funds. We are providing $4 million in capital funds to commence the planning of the new Family Justice Center to improve domestic violence services. I smile when I say this because this is the baby of Administrative Judge Adams in the courts, and she has been a champion on this, and I think this is going to go a long way of helping us in Prince George's County, and so we're pleased that we're able to priority of this budget. We focus on preserving and protecting our environment in FY 2013 by 1, creating an emergency and energy manager's position that will reduce energy expenditures and save taxpayer money. We believe that this position will pay for itself several times over. It is interesting, and not that we could ever arrange this, but to have the President come to Prince George's County and actually talk about energy savings. As we were developing methods where we can actually make sure that that we look at ways to be more efficient, and so to have the President come in and say that's what we should be doing is a real testament that we're headed in the right direction. We will also be establishing a new sustainable and planning section within the Department of Environmental Resources to research comprehensive sustainable strategies for the county that will protect the environment. And I want to thank Director Wynkoop for his work on this issue. This will bring Prince George's County in the forefront and allow us to go after some of the green jobs and green technologies. We are investing $19 million to protect our watershed under the Watershed Implementation Program. We are providing $20 million in capital funds to improve drainage and protect communities from flooding, which is important. We're investing $7 million to improve stormwater management, and we are providing $8 million to preserve water quality and water quality measures, wetland creations, and restoration. And finally, a high-performing government is fundamental to the delivery of quality services to residents and businesses. We will focus on governing with innovation and results-oriented policies. We will do that by continuing to enhance our data-driven decision-making process through enhancement of our county state capabilities, including the integration and sharing of data between agencies. We are enhancing customer services by implementing an online service request system and a 311 call center. We hope to have both of these programs up and running in the county by the early part of October of this year. This will enable our citizens and residents to go online and actually send in requests. There's an example that was used in Providence, Rhode Island that we looked at. We will have that capability here with the online service, but also having the 311 up and operating will relieve some of the pressure off 911 that we see. And our acting director, Musa Eubanks, if you can stand up, whose shop will be heading up to 311. I know that our acting director of technology, I don't know if Bernard Wright is here. Is Bernard here? You just wave. Thank you, Bernard, for your hard work on this. We are creating the Office of Ethics and Government Accountability and providing full funding for the office, including the addition of 2 investigators, a full-time executive director. We will reduce the reliance on outside legal counsel by increasing the training funds for our Office of Law. And I want to thank our acting county attorney, Andre Green, for the work that she's done in this area to make sure that we can save the county money. We are upgrading all of our computers for employees across the county to increase efficiency and data management. And last but not least, we are investing in our greatest assets, and that is our employees. While we know that they have gone without raises for the last 3 years, they have suffered through rifts and other measures. And while we don't have the resources we would like to provide the type of funding that we would want for them, we have included, and I think the council will agree with this, a one-time bonus to those employees to say thank you for your hard work on behalf of the citizens of Prince George's County. Our vision and focused approach to this year's budget will help us achieve the results our citizens deserve. I am convinced by making critical investments in expanding our economy, improving our schools, providing safe neighborhoods, providing high-quality health care, assist those in need, preserve and protect our environment, govern with innovation and results-oriented policies, that we will achieve our vision of being one of the best places to live, invest, work, and visit. And the county will continue to move forward. Therefore, I am pleased to be able, after all the hard work that all of the staff has done, to present this budget to the council. Is it everything that we would like it to be? No. But it gave us an opportunity to think differently about our government, to fund the priority areas that will help grow the resources that the government will need in the future, and also provide the services that our citizens deserve. So with that, thank you very much. We will take questions. Barry?
We'll take some questions.
Miranda?
Okay, so recut or you reprioritize or whatever you do with it. So, but, I mean, it's a flat budget, so who wins and who loses? It's pretty good 16-year staffers, that's very
No, I think the winners are the citizens of Prince George's County, and certainly county employees, in the fact that we recognize that the hard work that they've done, with the one-time bonuses, saying that we recognize you've sacrificed over the years. The other thing is, like I've said during the presentation, it was an opportunity for us to prioritize the limited resources. So if you look at the areas I said we were going to prioritize, public safety. That's why we're keeping the recruit class both in fire, correction, the police department, and the state's attorney's office and the sheriff's office. Certainly those are areas we would like to give more staffing to, but we can't. But what we did do is look at the budget and provide more resources. So the state's attorney's office gets more personnel. The sheriff's department gets more personnel. We also, put money into our health care. So the 7 priority areas each were able to get the funding we think will move us forward.
So, and the converse of that, the areas then that had to
Well, I didn't get what they want is probably the best way to describe it. Clearly, each and every agency that came in would have liked additional staffing. We're asking people to do more with less. There are some things the police department would have liked. There are things that the health department would have liked. We're asking Department of Environmental Resources to create a new division or a new program that we think will help us save money, but at the same time, we're not giving them additional resources to do it. I'm sure if Director Hytham Ajay was here, he would tell you they need more in transportation. People are asking for sidewalks, lights. So, but what we did was took our resources, invested in the future with the $11 million to Economic Development Fund, and then asked our folks to provide quality service for the citizens of Prince George's County. The one area where we see the biggest jump is education. That should be not a surprise to anyone. Our argument down in Annapolis is not the same argument as other jurisdictions. We're not looking at ways of getting around maintenance of efforts. We're looking at ways of how we can provide additional resources for that, for the department for education, because they're competing with areas that are giving out raises. Yes, ma'am.
The $11 million for the Economic Development Fund, is that on top of the $50 million, or is that the investment that you're going to make in fiscal 2013?
It's the investment we're making in fiscal year 2013. So it's the same.
Originally it was going to be about $4 million, if I remember correctly.
We did $7 million in 2012. It was always, there's no change. It was always $11 million for fiscal year 2013.
The Senate today passed a budget with the teacher pension shift included in it. How big of an effect, if that goes through and if that's signed by O'Malley, how big of an effect will that have on this budget, and will you have to come back and make more cuts?
Well, certainly, we are presenting our budget before the General Assembly finishes its work. It's something that County Executive Leggett and I were talking about yesterday, as the other county executives and the mayor said, well, how do you do that without knowing what the General Assembly is going to do? And we both said, well, we're mandated to do it. Certainly, we're going to have to look at what happens in the General Assembly. Pushing the pension down, the Senate version is just one. The House has another version of the pension plan. So either one could have devastating impact on Prince George's County. We're realists here. We know the pension shift is coming. Our best avenue and what we'll be working on in the next 2 to 3 weeks they have in the General Assembly is to make sure that the push back to the county is less impactful, that we can make it, and if there's ways to get revenues, to get those. As I've stated to the Speaker yesterday, and President of the Senate has heard it, I mean, we don't have any ways of raising revenues. One tool we had out there was increasing the recordation tax, but that's it. We've got a property tax cap, so we're limited. So am I concerned? Yes. Any more questions? Not? Thank you very much.